your hometown solutions. I'm your host, Jean Newell, and you've come to the right place because this show brings experts together to discuss everything real estate, from foreclosures to Feng Shui. And in the studios with me today is my co-host, Jonathan Lack. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Jean. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, and quickly to introduce Jonathan, he is a wealth of information. He is the owner of Waterview Title Services, also Waterview Realty, and partner or co-owner of how would you describe that, of Lack and Lack Chartered?
The attorney for Lack and Lack Chartered.
Okay,
owner.
Attorney, owner. Okay, and Lack and Lack Chartered is lawyers who specialize in real estate and real estate transactions and all kinds of things that we might highlight a little bit about that. But today's show is very cosmic, and we have a guest that's going to be calling in just a few moments, and that is Elaine Bartlett, and she has a show right here on Talk Network Radio on at Tuesdays at 3 o'clock called The Purple Portal, which I'm glad I was able to say that, right? And she's going to be a wealth of information because there's so much more involved in buying and selling real estate than you would think. Sometimes it might just be the knob on your front door that turns someone off. And we're going to be talking more about that with Elaine in just a couple minutes. But Jonathan, you and I together have a lot of years involved in real estate. And I thought it might be beneficial if people kind of knew what was going on. And I know this show is sponsored by the Florida's Hardest Hit program. We talk about it almost every week. But let's, again, with just a sentence or two, let people know we're trying to get the word out. If you or someone you know is in financial straits right now, having trouble paying their mortgage payment, this is the project or program for you. This is a state-run project, and they can get more information, and Jonathan will tell you all about it. Take it away, Jonathan Lack.
All right. Thank you, Jean. The Florida Hardest Hit Fund program is a federally funded state program that assists unemployed or underemployed homeowners with their mortgage payments. So if you've lost your job and you're having trouble making your mortgage payment, the program is designed to assist you during your period of unemployment. The best way to find out about the program would be to go to our website at lacklaw.com. That's LACKLAW.com. Click on the link in the middle of the page for the Florida Hardest Hit program, and that will bring you to the official website, which will provide all the information. You can also reach out to our office at area code 321-953-5115, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have and assist you with in your time of need while you're seeking employment.
I know, Jonathan, you've also experienced some of these things. You counsel people when they come into your office with a lawyer's hat on, not necessarily always a real estate agent's hat, because sometimes people have a different circumstances. Perhaps they've had a death in the family, and they want to pass the home through the children, and maybe it's not in a probate or it's not in a trust, and you can do some different things there, advise them. So there's all kinds of ways and reasons why someone might want to seek out some advice from a real estate attorney as opposed to a real estate agent. You want to touch base on a few of those things that might be of interest to our listeners?
Oh, sure. I thought there was a question following up. Yeah. Again, I do wear many hats. I am a real estate attorney, a real estate broker, and also have a title insurance company. And each of those entities provide a different service in the real estate transaction. As an attorney, it goes beyond just transactional work. Of course, I advise clients. Every client is different. Every situation is different. So it starts with a consultation where I sit down and meet with the clients, find out what their needs are. Sometimes somebody will come to me wanting to sell a house because they think they can't afford it anymore. And there are programs such as the Hardest Hit Fund program, or there's also a related program called the Principal Reduction Program, and that's designed to reduce the debt against your home. Again, a government program, and you can reach out to our office for more information. The different clients have different needs. So you meet with them, you find out what their needs are. If their goal is simply to sell their home, then I can put on the real estate hat and list the property for sale and sell it. But if it turns out that their needs are something different, then we can provide that information as well.
Exactly. It's much more complicated than it ever was before. I can remember selling real estate was quite simple, and even if you wanted to sell your home, you could get away with selling it yourself if you absolutely had to. But nowadays, I would never advise anyone to sell their home, which we call for sale by owners, or FSBO for short. Or as a buyer, I wouldn't even consider finding something that was a for sale by owner. And the reason I say this, because I have seen firsthand some of the predicaments. Let's just talk about a seller. You've got nowadays, there's so many different scams and different things going on. Are you going to want to open your house to just anyone walking in? Are they canvassing your place? Are they really legitimate? Can they even afford to buy your home? You don't know when you're selling it yourself because you can't have control over that person coming into your residence. Have you seen that as well with any sales that you've had in the past, that people think that they might be able to talk to the seller and get a better deal, but in reality, it comes back to haunt them?
Yeah, I do represent a lot of clients who do the for sale by owner. And those circumstances, it is very important to have an attorney or title company involved in the transaction because somebody still has to prepare the paperwork. Somebody still has to do the title search and ready it for closing. So the situations where a for sale by owner typically works best is when a seller already has a buyer, somebody they know, somebody's been referred to them, etc. But for those out there trying to sell the house on their own and not use a licensed real estate agent, while I understand the intention of trying to save on real estate commissions, a good real estate agent will almost always earn their commission, often by getting a higher price for the house than the FSBO, the for sale by owner seller, can get on their own, and that's just through good marketing and skills and experience that a real estate agent has. But to the point you're making, a real estate agent who's bringing clients to view a home will typically vet them in some regard before they bring them to the home. And they will typically accompany, or they will always accompany them to the home. So you have some professional there who's a licensed professional who is showing your home for you. And again, it helps prevent some of the things you raised as a concern, both criminal intent in a variety of different ways, be it theft or violence or any of the other things we wouldn't want to speak to.
Right.
But a real estate agent will assist and prevent those things from happening.
Exactly. And as we're just speaking from a seller's point of view right now, because there are so many things out there, you would never open your door to strangers, and yet they feel like, call and sign the number and they invite people in. They can't sit there and try to qualify that buyer walking through. That buyer's not going to want to share their financials with them. But if that buyer had been to a real estate office and had a real estate buyer's agent, they would at least have gotten them pre-qualified. So they know that if they're taking them into a $400,000 home, they have the means to purchase that home. So from a seller's point of view, that's, to me, very dangerous, because you can't be all places, and we hear about this all the time. Also, you just don't know who's coming in. They tend to split up, and the husband goes one direction and the wife goes another, and the next thing you know, you're maybe have something disappear while you're showing it yourself. Now, flip side of that, as buyers going in, and we see this on TV from time to time, and it's kind of frightening as well. There's people that put a for sale sign in a yard, and they don't even own the home. They've found ways to get into a vacant house, or they're renting a house and they decide they're going to try to sell it, try to get some cash up front from someone, and then they disappear. And they don't even get close to the closing. So there's so many things out there to worry about. Just avoid all that. Get a professional. It's well worth your time and energy on that. So we've been talking about buyers and sellers, how to protect yourself, how to make sure that you've got the right type of agent working for you. And kind of quickly, before we bring Elaine Bartlett on, let's talk a little bit, Jonathan, about the difference between what they call a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, and why you would need one or the other.
Okay. Well, in the real estate profession, so we're dealing with licensed real estate agents. There are typically, the terminology is very confusing because the listing agent, that's the person who is listing the property, putting it on typically the multiple listing service and advertising to sell the property for the seller. Then you have the terminology is they call it the selling agent, but the selling agent is actually the person who has brought the buyer to the table. So
Right.
for purposes of this conversation, we'll call it the selling. The listing agent is the one representing the seller, and the buyer's agent, if you will, representing the buyer. In real estate, they can often be single agents where they're only representing one party, or transactional brokers where they're actually representing the transaction. And without getting technical, the punchline is that a buyer having an agent representing them is going to be looking out for their interest and negotiating to their best, to their benefit. Whereas if you're dealing with a transaction broker, they will often be, again, they're trying to get the deal put together, but they're really working for the transaction, not for an individual party. So it is good for a buyer to have a buyer's agent so that they know somebody is being loyal to them and looking out for their best interest.
Exactly. Now, there's no upfront money for that. A lot of people think, well, if I get a buyer's agent, I'm going to have to pay them by the hour, or I'm going to have to give them some kind of a deposit. No, that's all taken care of at the closing. But I always say, if you're going to go out there shopping for real estate, find a good real estate agent that's familiar with your communities that you're looking for. And some people ask me, well, how do I find a good agent? Of course, you can call us and we'll refer you to one of our agents that it specializes in the area you're looking at. But here's some of the things that you might want to ask if you're looking for a buyer's agent. You want somebody, of course, working exclusively for you. And it doesn't cost anything to have a buyer's agent. And you want someone that is going to work as a team effort. So what we're trying to say is if you do find that person, a lot of times it comes from referrals, or perhaps you've met someone in an open house, and a lot of it is kind of like dating in a way. You've got to find someone you're going to be comfortable with, because you're going to spend a lot of time with this person. If you don't like their personality, if you don't particularly like them, find an agent that you feel comfortable with, because they're going to not only be advising you, you want somebody that you know that you can open up and talk to on a very personal level, because we're talking about the biggest investment that you can make, and we want to make sure that you find somebody that you like, know, and trust, which is what they say in any kind of a business you're looking for. So some of the things you might want your agent to do is to be available to work within your schedule. There's so many people. And again, I always hate to, I don't want to say I put down people that are new in the real estate business, but a lot of them get their license, but they still have a full-time job somewhere else. That may or may not be the person that you want representing you. If they're working 40 hours somewhere else, how are they going to be available to do the searches, the previews, the education, the various things that you really need to know? So those are just some of the things, and we'll provide some more tips and so forth as we go into this show and next week's show. But we have Elaine Bartlett on the line right now, and I want to talk to Elaine because she is a wealth of information. Elaine, are you on the line?
I am, Jean. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. It's great. We have about 16 minutes left in this particular show, but I wanted to tell our listening audience your background, because you have your show Tuesdays at 3 p.m. right here on Talk Network Radio. It's called The Purple Portal, and it says, tune in and be tuned up. Can you tell the audience a little bit about your show and what you handle there? You're the Cosmic Queen.
Well, I've been being first the cosmic princess and then arrived at queendom some which way. I think it's called a lot of years of being very interested in everyone else's well-being, including my own, and trying to assist people to get healthy, good information about how they can create a life that is healthy and happy and creative and prosperous. We need a full cup of everything. So my background is a numerologist and an astrologer, and in the past many years as a Feng Shui a Feng Shui gal, and I've traveled throughout the country teaching and lecturing and had businesses up in the Northeast. They were actually called the Purple Pair in deference to my last name being Bartlett.
Oh, that's right.
And people actually got the connection. It was
Okay.
very funny to see the lights going on.
Well, our tagline here at Your Hometown Solutions is we bring experts together to discuss everything from foreclosures to Feng Shui. And many people tell me when they meet me in the streets, what does Feng Shui mean? And so we have the Feng Shui expert right here on the line. And for those of you that might be rolling your eyes right now, there is a lot to this. It's not just some kind of hocus pocus or anything like this. There's a lot of a functional, I said it's too bad it's not called functional way, because a lot of it is functional, that show people how to decorate their home or move some furniture around and so forth to make it pleasant. But tell people, maybe define what Feng Shui actually means.
Well, in the simplest format, the word feng means wind and shui means water. And it's as much of a science and a medicine for your home as anything else.
Exactly.
In the old days, the normal, regular person on the streets was not allowed to use Shui. It was considered too powerful. So they didn't want the simple man of the streets to have the power and the information. And if a Feng Shui practitioner divulged that information, he would be killed. In those days, it was more men that did this. So it was in the hands of the elite, the powerful, the wealthy, and the very few.
Well, and Feng Shui was really a way of life, but we've kind of westernized it a little bit here and made it more of a decorating type of a function that people can understand. But in the Eastern worlds, they had it more of a way of life, even down to your burial grounds and everything else. But we won't go into that whole world of Feng Shui. But also, let me spell that for you, because people if they want to Google search this, it's FENGSHUI, Feng Shui. And again, Elaine's show is called The Purple Portal. It's on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. One of the things that we see all the time where we try to help people prepare their home for sale. And what's wonderful about your background, as you know, Elaine, is that you're a former decorator. Well, you are a decorator. You're a former real estate agent from Boca Raton, and of course, Feng Shui expert. And I have to, I have to tell people this because I'm so impressed with it, and I think it's wonderful. You actually, when you were involved in real estate in the Boca Raton area, sold a home to Wayne Dyer, who is very well known for his books on peace and health and well-being and so forth, as well as doing the Feng Shui at Lagomar.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
Did I say that right, Lagomar? No.
Lagomar.
Lagomar. So we have, a very involved people that understand this. It doesn't, Wayne Dyer could, he understands how your place of residence has got to be peaceful. It's got to be what you want it to be. So let's talk a little bit about when you were selling real estate, when you went into a home to show property, if it wasn't set up already with Feng Shui, would you advise people on how to turn their furniture around in the house and so forth to give it that pleasant feeling? Because Feng Shui is a lot to do with the energy coming in and out of the home and the well-being of the house. And part of it is clutter, or most of it is clutter removal.
It's a combination of too much clutter and lack of cleanliness.
Mm-hmm.
And when you walk in and the place is physically nasty, that's one thing.
Right.
But oftentimes it's what we call energetically nasty or sticky. And that's when you walk in and everything looks okay, but it doesn't feel okay. And it could be anything has happened in that home, from chronic quarrels to someone was ill for a long time, or there has been a death in the house. And those kinds of things make it very challenging for a buyer. So the place has to be cleared. It's got to be cleared. Get your stuff up and out. Give it away. Throw it away. Sell it. Whatever you need to do with the physical things. then break out Mr. Clean and Spick and Span and every other thing that makes it smell good and feel good. But then if there has been particularly long-term illnesses, which are very prevalent everywhere now, but certainly in South Florida with the elderly population, that requires what we call an out-and-out space clearing. And this month of January, before we step into the new year, this is the time to really clean and clear your house on all levels, whether you're selling it or not. You know, we think, oh my golly, get it ready to sell. I'm more one now to say, get it ready to live in healthfully and happily.
Exactly. And there, with Feng Shui has a lot of different color schemes and different things that you can do, and we'll touch a little bit on that. But the overall idea of Feng Shui, in my vocabulary here, is to make sure that each room has the best appeal, whether it's removing some of the furniture, moving some of the furniture around. And that's why, in some ways, these model homes that we go to just seem to feel right. It's because that decorator probably has a lot of the Feng Shui knowledge, because they gear all the furniture for the room sizes. They don't try to see how many couches they can get into the room. They try to arrange everything where it's appealing when you walk in, that you don't have to keep walking around things. You want that clear line of like a walkway or walking from one room to another.
That's true.
In my understanding, this is John Lack. Hi, Elaine. Good to talk to you again. My understanding of Feng Shui is that it has to do with the energy and the energy flow through the home. So when we talk about cleansing and cleaning and decluttering, we're really talking about making smooth pathways for the energy to flow through the home. And again, it sounds, you know, it's not something you can see, but it's something you feel. And as you say, when you walk into some homes, sometimes you walk into a home and you just feel something isn't right, or other times you walk in and say, wow, this just feels good. And it's that unseen energy that's passing through the home. And do I got it right as far as the...
Yes, John, that's a very good, simple description of it. And, you know, that unseen energy is what a lot of the world, you know, says, oh, that's ridiculous, and they're very cynical about it. The humorous part to me is everyone feels it, whether they feel it in their home or they've become dull to it in that space. But if I take you to a restaurant and I seat you in a place that your back is the wrong way, you're either going to have to leave or change places. So we all feel it. So I think it's time now for people to own the fact that they are sensitive and they can feel it.
Right. And it's not just something that we think of, some guru up on a mountain meditating and it's all cosmic. A lot of this is just inner feelings that we have as human beings. We have these different feelings that make us either feel like purchasing it, home, or walking away. And sometimes we can't put our finger on it. And I know we're going to delve into this expression a little later, but I often hear this when I'm showing property. I try to pull out as much information from the person if they don't like it. Tell me what you don't like. And sometimes they can't put their finger on it. So they say, I'll see it. I'll know it when I see it. And that doesn't give me a lot of information, but I know what they're talking about. Sometimes it's the feeling. It's not necessarily I'll know it when I see it. It's I'll know it when I feel it.
There you go, Jean. That's the better expression of it. I'll know it when I feel it.
So Elaine, as a Feng Shui consultant, are there standard practices and procedures for laying out the home? Again, it would be nice if it were visual, where we could actually see flow of energy. Excuse me. But unfortunately, that energy is not visible. So is it sort of, again, are there standard practices and procedures that are employed by Feng Shui consultants?
Well, there are. In the modality that I use, I am what you call a compass school training for the Feng Shui. That is not something that a lot of Americans use. America, once again, kind of took the easy way out, and they go with what is called this black hat Feng Shui, which is overly generalized. But with the compass school, I would want to know the person's year of birth, and then you marry their energy with the directions on the compass. Because if something is, it's kind of like you're very allergic to polka dots, and I take you shopping for a new sports jacket and insist that you get the one with polka dots, you'll feel sick.
Exactly. It has to do with color. And I know when I wear certain colors, I feel better because I know I look better because I always get compliments on certain colors. And there's other colors that I wear. One is green, that everyone always says to me, do you feel all right? Because my face is reflecting the green blouse I have on. I know that's kind of off subject a little bit, but we're talking about what makes you feel comfortable around certain colors, as well as how to blend the specific colors that have to do with Feng Shui and the various parts. What are the various areas of the home? I know there's the earth and the water. Could you touch on some of those as well?
These are the elements. You're now speaking of real Feng Shui, Jean. Color-wise, look, Feng Shui has been around for literally anywhere from 6 to 10,000 years. They weren't so invested in color in those days, but they were very invested in the elements, because Feng Shui is actually, for your environment, it is acupuncture. And an acupuncturist will treat you with what elements are out of balance. So basically, I'm more interested in getting the elements balanced. And so we would look at, where is wood? How is your temperament? Are you too stubborn? Are you quarreling all the time? Well, I'm not going to give you a whole lot of the element of wood. Let's soften it. Where is fire? Wood feeds the fire. Well, are you the angry kid? So then we're going to tone down. We're not going to give you a bedroom that's red. I wouldn't ordinarily give a bedroom that's red to begin with, unless, and I've actually had a Palm Beach gal ask me this. She was quite into the social life, and she wanted a red bedroom. And she was one happy gal with it. She had a rather hot and
it fit her personality, huh? Did she actually paint all 4 walls red, or just
red?
One? And a real quick story I've told before, when I was selling, one of my first jobs I had was in Deerfield, and we had 14 models, and back then the colors were all very pastel and so forth. And when they finally built all the models, because we'd been selling from brochures and we didn't have the models ready, the one condo or townhouse it was very popular, and we were sold out of them until the model was built. And all the other 13 of the 14 models were all nice pastels and different things. And that 14th model, the townhome that sold out and everything, was all done in red and black, and it looked like a bordello. And everyone that had it on contract canceled. They had to go back in and redecorate that house because that condo just sent off the wrong message. And before we forget, tell us your information. What's your website that they can visit you and get some more information?
Yeah, listeners, you need to visit my website and see all the different services, because at this time of year, you need every one of these services. Get the right jump start. In my reality, the new year has not begun yet. It will begin at the end of January when we step into the Chinese New Year. So go to my website, higherconsciousness.com, and that is spelled HIERCONSCIOUSNESS, higherconsciousness.com.
And you can also
we got to get ready for all new beginnings.
Exactly. And you have a host page on talknetworkradio.com where you can see or listen to previous shows. We've only got a couple seconds left, so I want to make sure I thank you, Elaine. And would you come back next week? Because I have some other questions for you, and I think everyone would be interested. Will you be able to call in next week?
I certainly will. I'll be delighted to speak with you.
And we're going to talk about what it means for a buyer and how they can tune into their senses. Thank you again, Jonathan Lack, for coming on the show today. And we've had a great talk with Elaine Bartlett with the Purple Portal. And we have a want to extend a welcome to everyone that's new to the station, and please go to our website at yourhometownsolutions.com where you can gather other information. And until next week, we just want to remind you that there's no place like home.